Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today we will be creating a single page layout using the You Are Enough collection along with the Everyday Moments Cricut collection from Close to My Heart. So that background that you see right there, that is actually part of the Cricut collection. So I created that overlay using the pearl paper, and then the background paper is just regular scrapbook paper. So just the regular cardstock that Close to My Heart has. On this layout, I'm also showing you that I decided to use those new 3D flowers. They're not new to Close to My Heart, but they are new to me, so I wanted to go ahead and get them used. I'm showing you right here that I plan on kind of mimicking where they are with those roses. I have nothing against the roses, but I really just wanted to use those 3D flowers to kind of add something to this layout. So what I'm doing is just putting some ATG tape on the back, making sure I am not covering any of those holes so the beautiful white kind of peeks through. I thought that was a real fun effect. Then I'm showing you a kind of close-up of the pearl paper. It is really pretty how it just adds a little bit of extra shine to the page. So what I'm doing is just taking my liquid adhesive and kind of going over the whole back. And then in a little bit, I will show you that I do paper piece the glacier color on those leaves. But on this particular collection, when you get it from Cricut, from Close to My Heart, but affiliated through Cricut, you actually can add little colors to the back of those flowers. But I decided to not have those colored. I just wanted the leaves to have kind of a pop out of color. I wanted the 3D flowers to kind of be the main focus on here. So I ended up not backing any of those smaller flowers, but you definitely could with either cardstock or pattern paper, and that would be really pretty as well. So right here, I'm just making sure I have the right side of the glacier on it and just kind of putting it down. Then I do add a little more glue, so when I place it down, it is going to be secure. The only thing with this is it can get kind of nerve-wracking because once you put it down, you kind of have to be married to it. So I liked the area that I put it down, and I did use liquid adhesive just because it's a lot easier for the wiggle room and then the intricate cuts. So right here, I'm just kind of making sure that I'm patting it down so it is indeed secure. The little swirls of those roses I wasn't concerned about because, like I said, I'm going to add the larger 3D flowers to it. So then I kind of just pulled out the paper backing that I'm using to kind of frame my photos. And this was all also part of that Everyday Moments Cricut collection. I just kind of looked at the paper pack from You Are Enough and kind of determined which colors I wanted. So right here I'm showing you that they had it originally side by side for the photos, but I kind of wanted my photos to be a little bit kind of off-centered, just kind of overlapping, but not exactly straight line perfect. So I'm just kind of going ahead and, going around figuring out which angle I want it on. Then I like the placement, so I go ahead and add that ATG to it. I really think the kind of overlap placement really turns out really pretty on this page. So here is just a close-up of those 3D flowers. Again, I use the You Are Enough colored or paper pack. And right here, I'm showing you that on those edges, I used a little dauber and then the sangria, just to give that little extra touch of the darker red. I flipped these over to kind of show you what the other side of the paper looks like. I kind of went back and forth determining which colors I was going to use and decided the light pink looked best. And then I wanted the edge to kind of be a little bit darker to go with the picture frame that I have. So what I'm doing is just kind of curling up the edges with my finger, and you can use a bone folder, you can use a pen, or you can just use your fingers, which I find is really easy. The Close to My Heart paper is a nice weighted paper, so you don't have to really worry about ripping it when you're doing this. So I just go ahead with my fingers and thumb and kind of fluff up the petals. And then I'm showing you how easy it is to glue them all together. For this particular layout, I decided to just use 3 of the petals. So I used 2 of the small ones and then 1 of the large one. And with these, I'm kind of making sure that I am crisscrossing them so that none of the flowers are the petals are directly on top of each other. So it's crisscrossed just like how a petal actually looks on a flower once it grows. So here is the last one. I went with just 3. The original layout has those 3 roses. I end up keeping the smaller rose on the top left corner area and putting the flowers still in 3 and still in that visual triangle effect. Here is the main title of the page, and it is called Forever Friends. And that's actually what the Cricut layout is called on that Everyday Moments collection. That's from Close to My Heart, but it's through Cricut. So it is very intricate, so I wanted to make sure that I just added a little bit of glue to the edges. I didn't want to add too much, not that glue would kind of be like oozing out of it. So my only thing is to be very careful because it is very thin lettering. So careful when you're removing it from the mat, and then very careful when you're adding it to your layout, just because it is very intricate and delicate. So then I kind of go figuring out the placement of the flowers. So like I said, I didn't cover up that top left rose, but I wanted to still have that beautiful visual triangle that you want in any kind of decorating. Here I'm showing you the extra pieces that I cut that also came with the collection, the cartridge as well, or the layout. And then I'm just kind of figuring out, do I want the wording in the middle? Do I want it off to the side? And the original layout, it does show it off to the side, and that's what I end up deciding to go with. So then I'm just gluing down those flowers in kind of the locations that I thought looked good. And just adding a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back. Again, I love the liquid adhesive because then I have a little bit of wiggle room to kind of move them around if I don't like exactly where I put it down. Then for the title piece, I decide to kind of pop that up. I use a little bit of the 3D foam tape, and I just add that to the bottom part because I don't want it to be where the photo will slide in. So I just put it on the bottom. That way I can kind of slide the photo still right in. And then for a little bit, I kind of futz with the flower just to make sure that that petal isn't covering the title. Then I'm showing you this really cool technique that another maker did on their YouTube channel. So these are the bitty beads. The jars that I have them in, I actually got from Walmart. You get 4 of them for $1. And she uses the liquid glass and puts it right in the middle and then adds the bitty beads to it. And it just gives this really fun dimension to the flowers as well. So like I said, the bitty beads are something sold from Close to My Heart. They come in essentially 2 different packs. One are more pretty pastel colors, and the other ones are more bold colors. So these are like the more pastel colors, and I decided to use that kind of seafoam green because I thought that just really matched well with the kind of glacier. It's not quite exactly 100% match, but it's definitely beautiful and it coordinates well with it. So again, all I did was use the liquid glass and put that in the middle. And then I am placing some of the beads right in the middle just to kind of dry. And that liquid glass is a really good hard adhesive, so those beads won't go away. They won't break off of the layout or anything, and then it'll dry perfectly clear. And then that piece right there, that is also part of the collection that you can just cut out as well. So I just paired it with a piece of the You Are Enough paper that I thought kind of looked complementary. So then I'm using these little sprigs that I also cut out with the pearl paper and just kind of determining where I think they should be. So I wanted to put them around the flower clusters just to kind of give more dimension to those as well. So you'll see me for a little bit just kind of placing them. Some of them I rip, some of them I glue as they are. They come in different sizes, and I didn't cut out any extra. I just kind of cut out what was already in that Cricut collection. So I do that on, again, all 3 of those flowers. I do go back to the first one and kind of realize that I glued the top parts down. So I try kind of pulling it up a little bit, and it did work. Again, because of liquid adhesive, I think when you use that, you have a little more wiggle room. You have kind of a little bit more forgiveness to it as well, just because it doesn't stick and dry quite as quick as if you were going to use a tape runner or ATG gun. So I'm kind of going over, flipping them up, and just kind of making sure the placement looks really good. And after a while of looking at this, and here I am right now, that's where I was saying where I kind of rip up the corners a little bit. After a while, I realized, oh, those leaves, those layered leaves that I got would be really cute on this layout as well. So I actually went and cut out a bunch of them. But before I show you those leaves, I wanted to add a little bit of sponging all over to the edge. So I just took my dauber and took out that sangria color and just kind of edged the entire layout. And I think that just kind of adds a little something to it. It was almost too clean cut pink for me. And I think because the edge of the flowers had the darker color, the title kind of has that darker color, and then also the photo mats kind of have that darker color, the edge of the scrapbook layout kind of needed a little something. So I just used the dauber and kind of went around with that until, you know, the whole thing was complete. And I think that really just kind of added something to it. It really made the paper kind of stand out a little more, and it kind of pulled it all together with those darker tones used with the lighter tones as well. And the dauber is just such an easy tool to use. I think I have a lot more control when I use the dauber versus using a bigger sponge. So that's typically what I use. So here's where I'm showing you that I decided to use the leaves, and this is, you know, the product number. Brand new item to me. It's brand new in the May-June catalog, but I personally think they were absolutely designed for these 3D flowers. They just work so well with them. So I go ahead and use that very delicate one, and let me tell you, it cut out beautifully. I have a big shot, and I had absolutely no issues cutting it out of the Glacier cardstock. So I decided to cut out 6 of those leaves to put 2 around each of the flowers. And I just put them around the larger flowers. 2 of them on the layout do have those darker leaves that were already kind of in the Cricut collection, and then the one on the top left or top right, I added those leaves, and I really just think it kind of added something. I needed a little bit more of that glacier color to kind of draw your eyes all around the layout, and I think just kind of the delicacy of those leaves just really pulled it all together. And then right there, I'm kind of fixing a little bit of the beads that I didn't have quite enough glue down. So I'm just adding a little bit more of the liquid glass and just kind of moving those beads over. Getting that all covered and tucking the leaves under the petals, but not really gluing them down fully, just kind of gluing down the ends. Then I decide this page needs some shimmer. I can't help it. I think I have to put shimmer or glitter on everything I create. So I decide to kind of add it in a few of the corners. I did use a current color, but then also that retired sugar plum color, just because I think it matches so nicely with that mulberry color that is in this collection. Then I go and kind of look to see through my stash what gems or sequins or anything that I have that would go really well with this collection. So I'm just kind of going through everything, and I decide, or I try to see if I should use more of the purple tones or more of the green tones. So then I end up deciding that I want to go with more of like the bluish green tone, because the Glacier is kind of a blue greenish kind of tone, and I could not find, I used to have something that was the sea glass, which was a color years ago. I used to have some items that were sea glass, and I couldn't find it, but I almost think the sea glass might have been a little too green. So what I did when I went through my stash is I ended up finding these sequins from an old paper pack. And I believe it may have been I believe it was the I Heart Us sequins. So it came in a pack of 3, and I ended up using these like bluish green tones as well. So I just kind of am placing those all around, thinking about the visual triangle. I put a few up in one corner, a few down in the other, and then I thought maybe the whole page kind of needs a little bit more sparkle. So I kind of add a few on the top, or one on the top, one to the side, and one to the bottom. Again, going with that visual triangle effect that is really appealing in design. You see me kind of going back and forth for a while, but eventually I decide, yep, this is a good placement, and I am kind of good to go with this layout. Right here, I'm just kind of showing you some close-ups of the flowers and the layout itself. So thank you all for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you all next time, and happy crafting, everyone.